Soul Land 200 Original Novel Doluo de Lu. Chapter 233. Phoenix Domain. TL by Bagelson. Intense blue-gray light suddenly erupted from its body, and the surrounding sea water churned in practically an instant, the immense light blending into the entire ring sea. The momentum of Ma Hongzhen's charge was immediately slowed by the light in the water in that moment. Devil Shark Domain, the domain of the Devil Spirit Great White Shark King Xiaobai. If it was launched, the sea water within its range could be controlled like a part of her body. And the immensity of the energy it contained, plus the mutual restraint of fire and water, naturally slowed Fatty's forward momentum. Even though the Phoenix Flame's intensity was more pure than Xiaobai's energy, the gap in strength between them was enough to offset the attribute difference between fire and water. Even under Ning Rongrong's boost, Fatty still couldn't change the circumstances. At the same time as the domain erupted, Xiaobai's enormous body swayed in the water, conducting all the spirit beasts to charge towards the Shrek 7 devils from below, and at the same time used the domain to control the sea water to squeeze in close. She absolutely didn't believe Ma Hongzhen could contend with the ocean her domain controlled with his strength alone. Indeed, it was of course impossible for Ma Hongzhen alone to contend with the 100,000-year power devil spirit Great White Shark King, but he wasn't alone. Golden light erupted, and the last among the 7 devils suddenly accelerated, sweeping past the leading people and reaching Ma Hongzhen's side, equally exploding with golden red light, equally transforming into a giant phoenix. Even if his luster couldn't compare to Fatty, and also only had one phoenix head, the instant rise in phoenix flame still helped Fatty withstand the immense pressure coming through the sea water, and the originally delayed speed increased once again, opening up the water forward. They had already passed the 80-meter mark of the ring sea. This was... Xiaobai's eyes grew wide. She discovered that she had once again made the mistake of inertial thinking. The one suddenly releasing phoenix flames was exactly Oscar. In the past he had always used clone mirror sausages made from Dai Muebai's blood, but this time he nevertheless chose to eat one made from Ma Hongzhen's blood. Before entering the water, he had already eaten his 7th spirit ability, Erect Gold Fly. Now further relying on the effect of the clone mirror sausage, the phoenix flame he released wasn't any weaker than Ma Hongzhen's, only its attribute was a bit inferior due to only having one head. At the same time as Oscar charged, Ning Rongrong's 3 boosts equally shot out through her heart separation control, falling on Oscar. Relying on the two's explosive phoenix flames, they stubbornly blocked the erupting energy of Xiaobai's domain. Even if their speed forward still wasn't as fast as at the beginning, they also didn't stop. And at the same moment, Ma Hongzhen did something that made Xiaobai extremely angry, and also extremely astonished. Transformed into spirit avatar, his 7 phoenix heads rose simultaneously, and 7 golden red rings of light were released into the air and fused together, suddenly spreading out. This fused golden red ring of light didn't completely change the sea water below him, but it still turned the water in range golden red, just like lava flows beneath. This scene had just appeared when the 7 devils' speed forward increased once again, and in practically a moment they had approached the 100-meter mark they had never reached before. Domain, this was the power of a domain. The pupils of Xiaobai's eyes suddenly contracted. This fellow actually dares use a domain to fight me in my own domain? And moreover, he never used this domain before. Indeed, the ring of light Ma Hongzhen's 7-headed phoenix released was his domain. Ordinary spirit masters could only awaken domains when they reached the title Doluo level. This was the greatest benefit the 10-headed fierce Yang Serpent gave him, called 7-headed Fire Phoenix. The domain fully unfolded. Within range, any non-living matter was assimilated by the phoenix flame. When Ma Hongzhen used the domain in spirit avatar state, within the domain, his phoenix flame's fire attribute rose by 50%, and unless the domain was broken, he possessed an undying body within its range, and could be reborn from the rest of the phoenix flame at any time. That he possessed the domain was something Ma Hongzhen had only secretly informed Tang San after he obtained the 7th spirit ring, he hadn't even told his other companions. He looked straightforward on the surface, but was actually inwardly extremely meticulous. The trials they experienced were so difficult, and revealing his newly obtained ability could let them win through by a surprise move. It was exactly because of this that Tang San had formulated the current strategy over the last 3 days. The 7-headed Fire Phoenix domain appeared, and its first effect was to completely block those sea spirit beasts outside, the terrifying flame aura forcing them to stay away, not daring to charge. Due to this second trial being conducted by the Devil Spirit Great White Shark King Xiaobai, there actually wasn't any other formidable sea spirit beasts in the ring sea. This might be a kind of balance for the trial. And in fact, Xiao Bai alone was scary enough. Even though she wouldn't use fatal attacks in the Ring C, her strength was enough to block the equivalent of several title Doloyo level C spirit masters. Passing was easier said than done. Especially when all of Tang San's spirit abilities as well as Ning Rongrong's 7th spirit ability were sealed. Faced with the obstruction of the domain Xiao Bai released, Fatty released the domain he received from the 7th spirit ring for the first time. 7-headed Fire Phoenix. The reason the 7 devils could currently advance swiftly was naturally also because of Ma Hongzhen's domain. Within the range of the 7-headed Fire Phoenix domain, the sea became fire attributed, and even though it wasn't true lava, it was still absolutely out of Xiao Bai's control. Xiao Bai was even more exceptionally angry from Fatty daring to use a fire-attributed domain to contend against her within the Ring Sea. In fact, releasing mutually restricting domains in such an environment had extremely frightening spirit power consumption. Ma Hongzhen absolutely couldn't persist for long. But the Shrek 7 devils never fought alone. Oscar had long since made sausages, and Ning Rongrong's 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda boosted, both allowing Fatty's ability to show its fullest effect. At the same time as he released his domain, he had already eaten a stimulating pink sausage. Even more importantly, he also has Tang San planning strategies. For 1 year's time, the Shrek 7 devils had almost always spent their time contending against Xiao Bai. They could be said to have a perfectly clear understanding of Xiao Bai's strength. Under such circumstances, how could Tang San fail to make accurate calculations? He'd long since planned for the worst. That they could currently charge up to 100 meters was already beyond his expectations. Wang the Ring Sea vibrated violently. In Xiao Bai's anger, blue crystalline ripples spread from her forehead, directly chasing the Shrek 7 devils. And simultaneously, the blue-grey light erupting from her body grew explosively stronger, all the water in the entire Ring Sea condensing as if solid. Rather than carefully targeting the Shrek 7 devils, even the other sea spirit beasts in the water were unable to move in this sea water trap. That's right, Tang San's domains had evolved abilities, and the 100,000-year sea spirit beast Xiao Bai equally had her evolved ability. The blue-grey light emanating from her was precisely her Devil Shark domain evolved ability, solidification. This was also the strongest method Xiao Bai used to stop the Shrek 7 devils. The blue ripples she released from her head weren't just the domain ability, but rather the special mental attack that once almost ended Tang San, called Despair Light Wave. If enemies were enveloped by the light wave, they would be unable to move, and moreover, all their spirit abilities would be briefly sealed, like fish on the chopping board, ready for Xiao Bai to butcher them. At the same time as she released the 2 formidable abilities, Xiao Bai's enormous body also moved. In practically a flash she had already charged over to the Shrek 7 devils. The position she chose was extremely clever, not facing Ma Hongzhen and Oscar head-on, but rather the person boosting them from the middle position, 9 treasure glazed tile Ning Rongrong. Ning Rongrong was undoubtedly the weakest among the 7 devils, but her strength was also the most irreplaceable. With her boosts, everyone's strength could comprehensively rise by at least 50%. For some special capabilities she could even boost them by a frightening 80% intensity. This wasn't the time to play around. Xiao Bai's extremely plentiful battle experience made her choose the most optimum target for attack. From strengthening the domain, to releasing the Despair Light Wave, and again to moving to attack, the 3 different actions could be said to instantly erupt with her 100,000-year spirit beast formidable strength. Without such strength, how could she always have kept the Shrek 7 devils from reaching 100 meters? However, the 7 devils Xiao Bai confronted this time were clearly different from before. The seawater suddenly solidifying indeed did make everyone slow down, but it didn't completely halt them like she imagined. Even though releasing the 7-headed Phoenix domain in the sea was enormously exhausting to Fatty, the result was extremely valiant. Even faced with Xiao Bai's evolved domain ability, that lava-like domain still kept pushing forward. And the moment Xiao Bai's Despair Light Wave charged, she also suffered the 7 devils' attack. The person who launched their attack was no other than the soul of the Shrek 7 devils, the undisputed leader, with all spirit ring abilities completely sealed, Tang San. 2 beams of deeply purple golden rays of light shot towards Xiao Bai, those rays just passed through the Despair Light Wave and bombarded straight towards Xiao Bai's forehead. When she just saw those purple golden rays, Xiao Bai was unconcerned. With a body with 100,000 years of cultivation, she basically didn't need to mind some attacks. However, she very quickly discovered her mistake. Because that purple golden light didn't seem to suffer any of the sea water's refraction, on the contrary, as the light came closer and closer to her, she could clearly feel her senses that could originally encompass the entire ring sea grow sluggish. Spiritual attack? Even a quite high-level spiritual attack. Xiao Bai finally made the correct judgment in the next moment. Even though she was arrogant, she absolutely wasn't a fool. Her spiritual force was very formidable, and she understood clearly the terrifying after-effects of some spiritual attacks. Especially this charged-up dense spiritual attack Tang San launched made her feel an even greater sense of danger. Of course, Xiao Bai wasn't afraid that Tang San's purple god light could harm her. While using the despair light wave, it was practically impossible for Tang San to injure her in a spiritual force clash. However, she clearly knew that, even if Tang San couldn't harm her, even a strategy that would harm him by 1000 and her by 800 would be enough to make her briefly dizzy. Even if Tang San would injure himself even more severely, her being dizzy would mean her domain would temporarily disappear. Dizziness also meant delay. Relying on Ma Hongzhen and Oscar to now open up the path forward, they could quickly advance. If her domain didn't block them, just 1 or 2 seconds or dizziness would very possibly be enough to let these fellows break through the blockade and charge to the other shore. Xiao Bai of course wouldn't let the Shrek 7 devils pass this trial so smoothly. If she did, she'd lose her job. Helplessly, she could only give up on using the despair light wave to restrain them, and again beat out an impulse in the ring sea. Under her perfect control, the despair light wave suddenly contracted, pressuring towards Tang San's purple god light. At the same time it turned into a point attack, a targeted strike on Tang San. Now, Xiao Bai's impulse, without slowing down, charged into Ma Hongzhen's seven-headed fire phoenix domain. She clearly saw the corners of Tang San's mouth seem to show a faint smile. What was he smiling about? This thought had only just appeared in Xiao Bai's mind, when she immediately discovered her mistake, and a heartfelt panicked feeling filled her whole body. She seemed to lose her connection with the ring sea that was previously completely under her control, and the surrounding incomparably got aura made her mind shudder uncontrollably. Not only did her momentum forward abruptly come to a halt, but the despair light wave was influenced by Tang San's single target attack and weakened considerably. With a soft rippling sound, Tang San gave a muffled groan in the sea, blood flowing from all 7 apertures simultaneously, flowing out like little snakes. He turned pale, and temporarily lost his eyesight. Xiao Bai's spiritual force was after all far too much stronger than his, and even though it was considerably weakened by simultaneously entering his and Ma Hongzhen's domain, it still put Tang San at a disadvantage. Xiao Bai's enormous body also paused because of the spiritual force shock. However, this was also a feeling that roused her. The devil shark domain that had just relaxed was reinforced again. The aura within the seven-headed phoenix domain made her extremely uncomfortable, but even so, she still didn't immediately withdraw. With a shake, her shark tail whipped straight towards Ning Rongrong. This attack was not only incomparably fast, but furthermore extremely powerful. If she was directly hit, Ning Rongrong would immediately lose her ability to fight. But the 7 devils undoubtedly couldn't give up on her, otherwise it would be impossible for Ning Rongrong to successfully cross the sea with her strength alone. Xiao Bai was attacking the one person the enemies had to save. It was the best way to break the 7 devils' chance to pass. However, her shark tail attack came unfulfilled. Because, a fiery red silhouette abruptly charged up, and just as the shark tail swung, it forcefully grabbed on. Little Ao, as you and Fatty open up the path, after Fatty releases his domain, Xiao Bai will definitely get embarrassed into a rage and launch an attack. And her target will definitely be Rongrong. Your clone body will be put in use at this point. If I guess correctly, in order for Xiao Bai to not truly harm Rongrong, she definitely won't use energy attacks, but rather use her valiant body. The shark tail is the most likely. At this time, you use your clone body to stop her. As the clone body held tightly to Xiao Bai's shark tail and brazenly self-detonated, Oscar couldn't keep Tang San's plan from echoing in his mind. When he saw Xiao Bai swing her shark tail, he couldn't help feeling like prostrating himself in admiration for Tang San's foresight. The clone body Oscar made from the clone mirror sausage possessed 80% of his ability, and in his present state, he had 100% of Ma Hongzhen's spirit power. Even though the clone body wouldn't get Ning Rongrong's 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda boost, the might of the body brimming with phoenix flame suddenly exploding was terrifying. Especially as that phoenix flame contained a naturally restraining effect to Xiao Bai. With a loud explosion, the surrounding seawater vaporized. The shark tail Xiao Bai swung out was blasted back, and even though she wasn't truly harmed, the scorching phoenix flame entered her body, and she felt no better than if she was set on fire. Anger filled Xiao Bai's body and heart. Held back in all respects, the strength that was completely above the Shrek 7 devils was completely unable to come out at all, so how could she not be angry? With this brief delay, the Shrek 7 devils were already more than halfway, having reached 130 meters. The closer they got to shore, the larger the variables would be. This bit was something Xiao Bai of course understood. However, under such circumstances, her body still halted for a moment. Grey-blue light burst from the tip of her nose to cover her whole body. She had numerous comprehensive attack methods that could stop the Shrek 7 devils, but those attacks were too powerful. One mistake and it would take their lives. Therefore, she had no choice but to use other methods. As that grey-blue light spread, Xiao Bai's body suddenly grew crystalline. Her white skin turned completely transparent blue-grey, and the surrounding sea water suddenly halted under the influence of a peculiar aura. The Devil Shark Domain's third evolution completed, this time it wasn't just solidifying, but rather truly turning substantial. To be precise, it should be called the Devil Shark Domain's third evolved ability, crystallization. The entire ring sea was like an enormous blue gem. Besides Xiao Bai, anyone trying to break through would be hindered by water as hard as crystal. If it was in the sea water, Xiao Bai could rely on this third evolution to completely annihilate groups of enemies. All that was needed was a simple squeeze. Even if the Shrek 7 devils had now set up a channel of air, moving forward was extremely difficult, they had to break the crystal to advance. And being able to move freely within the domain, she could completely treat these fellows as sitting ducks. Even to the extent that she could use the changes in the domain to move the pocket of air with the people inside back to the shores of the Sea God Mountain. Lights flashing before his eyes, even if his mind felt like a pincushion, when Tang San saw everything before them he grew happy rather than alarmed. I've been waiting for your domain's third evolution. Such a form had been seen in their previous fights, and by exploiting all kinds of coercion he had finally forced Xiao Bai to use it. Fatty, little Ao, rest. Mu Bai, Zuking, begin. Wrong, boost me. A series of calm declarations came from Tang San's mouth. Indeed, the ring sea crystallizing had indeed made it very even more difficult for the Shrek 7 devils to advance, but at the same time they also lacked the threat of being submerged in water. Even though everyone had conducted combat with Xiao Bai in the sea for the past year, that didn't mean they would do the same when they finally tried to pass. As land spirit masters, no matter how they refined their marine combat cultivation, it was still only with their feet firmly planted on the ground that they could exert their greatest strength. Furthermore, in the whole process of cultivating with Xiao Bai, in order to forge themselves even better, the Seven Devil had always held back a bit. The light from Ma Hongjun and Oscar faded simultaneously, and the two no longer charged forward, and after returning to their original forms they immediately ate several of Oscar's big recovery sausages. In fact, Oscar was currently still under the influence of the erect gold fly. The big recovery sausages he made were a lot more effective than ordinarily. At the same time, Ning Rongrong stopped her boost to them. Golden light flashed in her hand. Even though she was a bit unwilling, she still ate 3 erect gold flies in succession. That was equal to the effect of 3 of Oscar's spirit avatars. Perhaps only a food system spirit master's spirit avatar could be used in this way. With each erect gold fly Ning Rongrong ate, a line of resplendent light would issue from her 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda. With the bright light as foundation, each contained a gold hazy speck of light. All 3 lines of light simultaneously fell on Tang San. White light condensed, no longer spreading to their companions, but focused only on him. Xiao Wu leapt aside, watching Tang San a bit nervously. The clear sky hammer entering his hand, Tang San began to dance while bathed in Ning Rongrong's 3 resplendent lights. The tips of his left foot's toes stuck to the ground, his body instantly spinning half a turn, the clear sky hammer quietly swung out, black light flashed, unexpectedly without the slightest wave of spirit power. Even more frightening, at Tang San's turn, with the tips of his toes as center, countless fine cracks began to spread out in all directions through the crystallized and extremely solid sea water. And on the other end, Xiao Bai confronted her biggest problem since she met the Shrek 7 devils. White and black fused together in that not very large space. The next instant, an incomparably dazzling light abruptly burst out. Even though that bright light was unable to break through the protective barrier formed from Sea God's power at her forehead, within the crystallized ring sea, with them as center, the deep blue sea water turned to powder and began to swiftly melt. The light constantly spread, the pressure so enormous even Xiao Bai had no time to mind them. She could clearly see Tang San's motions on the other side, but she couldn't afford the distraction of stopping him. It had been a long time since she had experienced a choking feeling like the one exploding from the black and white blended light in front. The incomparable pressure actually made this devil spirit Great White Shark King shiver, forcing her to back up to store up strength. The pupils of her eyes contracting, Xiao Bai clearly saw that, at the same time as that black and white light gradually fused, a 15-meter-long, 8-meter-high giant winged tiger, glittering all over with black illusory magic lines, appear in front of her. Each magic line on its body distributed an aura so frightening it was difficult to describe, and in its surroundings, both the air as well as the sea water in Xiao Bai's devil shark domain distorted slightly. The giant king character on its forehead was even more like a strange eye, radiating endless darkness. What was this? Xiao Bai looked foolishly at this incomparably immense black striped white tiger, and for a moment a feeling close to inferiority arose in her heart. However, she was after all a 100,000-year spirit beast, one of the tyrants of the vast oceans. After being briefly startled, she very quickly returned to her senses. Whatever this was, it was nothing to fear in her domain. Along with the grey-blue light suddenly rising, the smashed domain began to reform, squeezing towards that giant white tiger. Due to this enormous white tiger pressuring her head-on, she currently couldn't spare the power to control Tang San and the others. This giant white tiger was naturally Daimyo Bai and Zhu Zuqing using spirit avatar to form the Hell White Tiger, and it was also the true meaning of the Hell White Tiger. This was their true strength, the killing weapon of the Shrek Seven Devils. This one move had always been saved for now, prepared to pass the trial. Never mind that Xiao Bai hadn't seen it, even the Shrek Seven Devils, even Daimyo Bai and Zhu Zuqing themselves didn't know to what frightening degree of power the Hell White Tiger could reach in this condition. Humph! A deep muffled snort came from the Hell White Tiger. The next moment, one of its four claws already swatted out, and instantly, deep black light spread out in a ring. Where it passed, the crystallized water beneath it actually turned back to water. Its enormous body pounced straight towards Xiao Bai. The momentum of this leap was world-shaking. Xiao Bai only felt like she was locked in place by this giant white tiger, everything in her surroundings dulled, and seemed to become unreal. Her mind couldn't completely spread out even when drawing support from the domain. An incomparably immense pressure made Xiao Bai choke. In a crisis, she could no longer pay mind to the restriction of not truly harming the seven devils. Her body swung in the sea, and ray after ray of blue-grey light condensed around her, several dozen lines of blue-grey light exploding out like sharp teeth. It was Devil Shark's teeth. However, the same ability, against different opponents, would produce different results. This ability that had once almost ended Tang San's life, in front of the Hell White Tiger, did nothing. Confronting the Devil Shark's teeth attack, the entire Hell White Tiger suddenly grew illusory. Next, its two forepaws crossed and slapped out, basically without any intent of dodging, stiffly colliding head-on. Berserk energy constantly exploded in the sea. At the heart of the collision, all kinds of crystalline shards splashed out. The final result left everyone taken aback. Xiao Bai's giant body was directly slapped back by the Hell White Tiger, flying back several dozen meters, tumbling in the seawater. Since her body wouldn't be influenced by the crystallized seawater, a lot of the momentum was dispersed, but even so, Xiao Bai was dazed by this one slap. But she also knew that the Hell White Tiger's slap was going easy on her, because when she was hit, it still didn't eject its claws. A few deep wounds would have been left on her body. How was this possible? To Xiao Bai, everything that happened was too difficult to believe. As a 100,000-year spirit beast, a respected overlord of the sea, she was actually beaten off by land spirit masters, and was almost injured to boot. The Hell White Tiger attentively watched Xiao Bai, roaring once, but didn't pursue, only using its enormous body to block the other 5 of the Shrek Seven Devils, its concise gaze locked on Xiao Bai with an extremely formidable pressure. Back then, in the Star Do Great Forest, Ghost Doluo and Chrysanthemum Doluo had relied on their spirit fusion ability to trap 2 of the continent's first-rate 100,000-year spirit beasts, the Titan Giant Ape and Sky Blue Bull Serpent. With their title Doluo level, this was all they could accomplish. In the ocean, Devil Spirit Great White Shark King Xiao Bai's strength absolutely wouldn't be worse than the Sky Blue Bull Serpent and Titan Giant Ape. Even if Daimyo Bai and Zhu Zuqing used the spirit fusion ability, with their spirit avatar strength, they still shouldn't have the strength to beat back Xiao Bai in her domain. That was also fact. It was impossible for Daimyo Bai and Zhu Zuqing to compete with Xiao Bai, not even as the Hell White Tiger. This was the sea, Xiao Bai's world. The reason they could beat back Xiao Bai in one hit and seemed to gain the conclusive advantage, was actually all the result of all sorts of factors coming together in Tang San's plan. In order to break through, the Shrek Seven Devils had actually already begun to prepare as early as half a month ago. Recovering in the last 3 days was just to draw up the final details and recover to their peak condition. Oscar naturally wouldn't prepare erect gold flies only for Tang San and Ning Rongrong. Neither Dai Mubai or Zhu Zuqing had acted since entering the Ring Sea, and that was for the sake of this attack. For this strike, they had not only used the spirit fusion ability, but equally each eaten 3 sausages in advance. They just did so very secretly and weren't noticed by Xiao Bai. The 3 sausages they ate were the stimulating pink sausage, limit surpassing dark green sausage, as well as erect gold fly. Whether the stimulating pink sausage or limit surpassing dark green sausage, both were optimum sausages produced by Oscar under the effect of erect gold fly. Thus, in the attack just now, the Hell White Tiger that originally had the strength of an ordinary tidal Doluo, erupted with close to 200% strength. Condensing all strength on this one attack, on the surface it seemed like they had easily broken Xiao Bai's devil shark's teeth, and moreover sent her flying. Judging by the situation, they completely held the advantage. But doing this only had one purpose, to screen Tang San behind them. This was also why the one Ning Rongrong boosted wasn't them, but rather targeted Tang San. Xiao Bai was a bit timid. For so many years, in this great sea, besides that particularly formidable deep-sea devil whale king, there had never been a creature that made her feel so powerless. Confronting the Hell White Tiger built as large as her confidence gradually collapsed. And what she hadn't seen was that, behind the Hell White Tiger's giant body, Tang San's clear sky hammer was just swinging like a spinning wheel, and the superimposed strength from each of his swings was completely frozen in his surroundings, without a drop leaking. After Ning Rongrong ate the erect gold fly, the suddenly 150% improved boost ability was completely used on Tang San. Starting from when Ma Hongjun split open the sea, the Shrek Seven Devils' goal wasn't only to swiftly move forward, even more important was to let Ning Rongrong's boost ability display completely. Without the separation of the sea water, the effect of the 3 great boost abilities Ning Rongrong currently overlaid on Tang San was 80% plus 40%, altogether 120% more. Further adding the constantly layering of Tang San's disorder-splitting wind hammer method, the surroundings of that black clear sky hammer was already covered with line after line of frightening black lightning, extremely unstable. Even when simultaneously releasing the 2 great domains, even Tang San wasn't quite able to endure this frightening energy. Roar! The Hell White Tiger issued a threatening growl in Xiao Bai's direction. The blood and qi within Xiao Bai's body was still rolling, the place where she was previously struck still aching dully. She wanted to charge forward, but seeing the Hell White Tiger's enormous tiger paws, she was still a bit hesitant. Thanks, finish it here. Guys and girls, do comment how upset are you for this delayed post. I apologize, tongue sticking out.